Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Health Made Simple Show. I'm your host, Dr. Bart. Thanks for coming back. Have another great conversation, another great podcast for you today. Today, we're going to do a little bit more of a clinical podcast. We're going to do a deep dive into three things, into which are really kind of all the same thing: varicose veins, spider veins, and even hemorrhoids. So, great conversation to have. Even if you've never had either one of these or either one of these, it is something that often is going to affect, by the time you're 70 years old, there's a good chance about over 80% of the population will be affected by them. So with that being said, keep doing your thing. Keep sharing out, keep spreading love. Appreciate the fact that so many of you are doing just that. You are spreading love here. We keep getting more and more new people to our podcast, new people participating, new people essentially being able to learn and level up their lives. And frankly, that is why we're here to best we can make health simple. So let's keep that journey on, keep doing your thing. All right, let's talk. I'm going to make this as simple as I can be for you today. We'll talk a little bit about the causes. What are some of the symptoms we want to pay attention to? Unfortunately, when we do have things like spider veins and varicose veins, varicosities, they are telling us about function of our body. So we do want to pay attention. I'll give you some very specific protocols today in helping improve the function of your body. And the cool thing is this: we can do this through nutrition. We can do this through very specific protocols. We're going to use some vitamins. We're going to use some herbs. We're going to use some very, very specifically formulated vitamins and herbs that help us with these very things that we can be challenged with. And how do I know all this? I know it because I have had multiple situations where, times in my career where I've had to deal with some varicosities in my legs. So I'm on my feet. At least most of my career, I've been on my feet for, sometimes 6, 8, 10, 12 hours a day as a chiropractor. And now that I'm traveling a lot, all of these things add to the pressure in the lower legs. So these are phenomenal protocols. They work. How do I know they work? Because I've used them and I've worked on so many people that they've been very, very effective for as well. All right. With that being said, let's just talk about what happens. So there's a couple differences here. So hemorrhoids, yes, are very similar to essentially spider veins and also varicose veins. So we're going to put all these into the same category, and the same protocol works for all of them. All right, let's just talk about what causes a varicose vein to begin with, and then we'll get into some of the remedies here. So the most common cause is just being on your feet for long periods of time. Here's the thing, folks. When you start to feel that pressure building up, this is the time to address it. Meaning you get done a long day. Maybe this can happen a couple of ways. You can stand too long, but also sitting too long. Anything that inhibits the natural flow going from your legs, or what we call your veins, back up to your heart. Now, just a little reminder, the arteries carry the oxygen from your heart out to your body, and then it returns and goes back the other direction. So the unoxygenated blood is sent back to your heart via your veins. So arteries are bringing it out, veins are bringing it back. And it is the veins where we see spider veins, we see varicose veins. Even when we see things like hemorrhoids, those are veins as well. All right. So the challenge here is this: so much pressure builds up down below, and you usually see these varicose veins in the lower extremities, usually from the knees down. We might see some spider veins in a little upper in the quads and in the thighs and whatnot. So they're both caused by the same thing, by pressure, the inability to get that blood flow back up to the heart in a readily, easy fashion. How do these things happen? A couple ways. One, we just have too much stress putting pressure downward, or anti-gravity. When that happens, it builds up, and the body's now under stress, and then these veins start to weaken. It's what we call a lack of venous tone, or we can just say there's capillary fragility here. Things start to break down. And often both of those happen because the body doesn't have the proper nutrients. Yep, nutrients, here we go again. And so we develop these deficiencies because of how much stress we're putting under the body. So if we're on our feet for long periods of time, pregnancy is another big cause here. It's just harder for your body to get the blood from basically your feet back up to your heart. So we start to see this buildup and this pressure. So we have pressure. It could be painful. It could be itchy in the lower legs. You can literally start to see the swelling. You could have water buildup, edema. All of those would be signs of either there's a varicose vein about to start to break down, and that's exactly what it does. The vein walls start to break down and they start to bulge, and they don't look so good, and they're not really comfortable. Then spider veins, very similar. We see capillaries break off, and you'll see some of those little red and blue lines. Sometimes they're a little bit darker, and that's why we call them spider veins. They're not as bulgy. Yet either scenario, we can inhibit them from happening any worse. And sometimes, depending on how quickly you acknowledge these and how quickly you start to address the root causes, you can start to fix some of these up. All right, with that being said, let's dive right in. So there's 3 things that I'm going to recommend, and I'm going to tell you what they are, and then I'm going to break down why they work, and then I'll go back to telling you what they were once again. All right, so there's 3 things. There's one, it's an herbal concoction called Vascular Care. There's 3 different herbs here that really make this magical. One is horse chestnut. And I'll get into that in just a moment. That's probably, if anyone's heard of any one particular herb that's fantastic for varicose veins, that's probably the one. That's the one that creates increased tone. That helps strengthen the actual vein, so we have the ability to push this fluid, really, this blood flow, back up to the heart. The second one is going to be called Butcher's Broom. Not too many people have heard of Butcher's Broom unless you've had varicose veins and spider veins and maybe even hemorrhoids in the past. So the Butcher's Broom works in a couple of different ways, yet it strengthens the actual artery, strengthens the tone, which is, again, we'll talk about that a couple times. We need to strengthen the tone so it can stay in a flex position. It levels out the amount of fluid that's kind of flowing back and forth, so it keeps pushing along the way. Super, super good for both veins and hemorrhoids. So you've probably, if you've had hemorrhoids before and you look for natural alternatives, somewhere along the way, you've heard something called Butcher's Broom. So Vascular Care, it's a combination product. It's called Vascular Care Complex. And I'm going to make sure this is in the show notes. There's going to be 3 different things that you're going to want to use. And all 3 of them I'll put in the show notes here. So it's Vascular Care, which is Butcher's Broom, horse chestnut, and then last but not least is called ginkgo leaf. If you've listened to my podcast before, I'm a huge fan of using ginkgo for many, many reasons. And the same root reason is there, and it is because it helps with microcirculation. So whether this is for brain function and helping us fend off inflammation or Parkinson's, dementias, Alzheimer's in the brain, or helping ourselves increase the amount of circulation from the lower part of our extremity back up to the heart, ginkgo leaf is phenomenal when it comes to doing that. And you get a little smarter, your memory get a little better along the way. All right, so that's product number 1. That is Vascular Care. Ideally, in the acute phase, meaning your first 30 days of taking it, you would take 2 of these 3 times a day. Now, that being said, you're like me, I'm not really good at taking that midday dosing. So it's basically 6 tablets a day for about 30 days. I will then decide to take 3 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon, making sure that my body still has plenty there. But if you're real good at all 3 dosings, awesome. If you're not, which I'm not great at doing that middle of the day dosing, so I split that dose up and make 3 in the morning and then 3 in the evening. The second product here that we're going to use, this, not too many people know about this, yet this is absolutely phenomenal. It's called Collinsonia Root. Collinsonia Root, also called stone root, probably best known for helping basically improve elimination, which get things out of your body. But really what the value here, the power of it in the way we're going to use it is not only to help eliminate, it's going to help things move fluidly throughout the body and, again, strengthen tone into these veins and into these arteries. So really what we're trying to do is decrease the amount of fragility. So we're going to strengthen tone. So we're going to feed it and also give our arteries, our veins, our circulatory system the ability to keep moving freely, but also get a little bit stronger along the way. So this last one, but certainly not least, it's called Cyruta Plus. And the Cyruta Plus is absolutely fantastic and probably the missing link in terms of actually helping the body heal. What often happens is, I'm going to talk about vitamin C for just a moment here, but I'm really not talking about just ascorbic acid. I'm really referring to the entire complex of vitamin C. Specifically in this application, we're talking about what's called the P factors. That's the bioflavonoids, that's rutin. These are the part of the vitamin C complex that really help our body do some healing. This is where we start to strengthen the actual arterial wall. This is where we can actually bind up the collagen. And this is the stuff that starts to break down over time. Now, I said a little while ago that more often than not, we have a stressful situation, standing too much, you're pregnant, getting a little bit older, you have too much weight. Obesity is certainly a big, cause of of varicose veins and spider veins. All of these factors, the increased stress from any one of these essentially puts the body in a state of deficiency. So our job right now is to say, hey, listen, I'm going to stand. I'm a chiropractor. That's what I do for a living. When I'm not there, I'm often, in an airplane, or I'm sitting at my desk, or in a situation like this, sitting down in front of a computer, and which is none of that is very conducive to having good circulation from the lower part of your extremity up. So when you think about your lifestyle and you're wondering, I wonder if I'm going to get varicose veins, think about what I said there. If you stand a lot, you're certainly vulnerable for it. If you, fly a lot, certainly vulnerable. If you're a little bit overweight, certainly vulnerable. Or if you are just tight and you're making it difficult for the fluid in the lower part of your extremities to get back up into your body. So what's nice about the rootin factors, this vitamin C, this full complex vitamin C, I'm not encouraging you to go run down to the store and get like a bunch of ascorbic acid. That won't do the trick. But this vitamin C, this rootin factor, these P factors, these are going to increase the flexibility of your veins and arteries. And this is so important really when it comes to our health. So this is where other lifestyle things like stretching. So for example, yoga, phenomenal. Or listen, any type of exercise typically is going to enhance, not decrease. Now, am I going to encourage you to load up your body and start doing heavy squats? No, I'm not going to tell you not to do it either, because when we do that, we do create a flexing moment of our arteries and veins, and that's part of what keeps us super healthy. That's probably number one when it comes to cardiovascular disease, to have arteries and veins that are flexible. This vitamin C, and the product is called Cyruta Plus. Now with this one, because this is typically a water-soluble product, meaning that comes in and out, most of it, I believe, comes from buckwheat. This is something that under a stressful day or high use day of your body, you can use up all these nutrients and be kind of deficient the following day. So in this one, the dosing is going to be 2 times a day. So same thing, folks. If you're not, three times a day. So that's 9 little capsules. If you're not good, actually they're little pills. If you're not good at that middle dose, just split it up. So you're trying to get 9 in this first 30-day window. So maybe take 5 in the morning, 4 in the afternoon. And for those of you who say, man, my goodness, that is so many. Think of it as just food. When you're using whole food supplementation, it really puts it into a different category. If you're using whole food supplementation, most of these, all of this whole protocol I'm discussing here, all of it, the morning and the night, most likely would fit on 1 tablespoon. So try not to get too caught up in, oh my goodness, this is a lot of pills. We're talking about helping your body function better. And when you have spider veins, when you have hemorrhoids, when you have things like varicose veins, your body's losing. Your body's out of balance. It is breaking down. And that is one of the ways along this journey of health. Say, hey, listen, I'm going to listen to this. I'm not just going to blame this and leave it alone. I'm going to say, hey, I recognize what's taking place here. I'll see what I can do in terms of lifestyle. If I can drop a couple pounds, beautiful. If I can start to become a little bit more flexible, get some yoga in my life, some morning stretching, beautiful. If I can reduce some of the stress in my life, awesome. If I can incorporate better breathing, get more oxygen in my body, fantastic. All of the above. And if you can put the nutrients in your body that help you function better, help you heal, beautiful. So that last one there. So the 3 things are this. The one is a vascular complex care, which is all herbal. That's horse chestnut, butcher's broom, and which is the other one there? Horse chestnut, butcher's broom, and then ginkgo, of course, for the microcirculation. The Collinsonia Root is fantastic, and that's what's going to help things make easy elimination. Especially if you're dealing with some hemorrhoids, we want to make some things slide through the body. This is going to help with flexibility of the actual arteries and vessels. And then same thing with the Cyruta Plus. This is probably the one that's going to do most of the healing and create that strength back in the actual vein to make those capillaries a little bit stronger. All right. With that being said, those are the ones all right. Let me go back. I think I forgot to give you the dosing for the Collinsonia Root, which is going to be 3 of them. And we'll just assume you do not do good in the middle of the day. So you're going to get 6 total, 3 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. So just to recap here, if you are experiencing any varicose veins, hemorrhoids, and or spider veins, they really all are in the same family. Too much pressure, too much stress built up. We see a lot of this in people who have to stand for a living, sitting for long periods of time. We have to increase the tone, the strength of the actual vein, and decrease the amount of fragility, meaning how easily it breaks down. And that's why we're going to use those 3 different things. Typically, I will see that dosing I give you in 30 days, you will see those varicose veins less pronounced. You will see everything start to tone up a little bit. You will have less pain. You'll just notice there's a little better circulation, especially from the lower extremities to the upper extremities. All right, I'll make sure all those in your in the show notes here today. Hopefully this finds you or someone that you know in a place that helps work this out. Again, if you do have any of those symptoms, know that they are deficiencies in your body. Those are your body's way. It's your body's way of saying, hey, I need a little bit of help here. All right, with that being said, make sure you keep taking deliberate action for your mind, your body, overall wellness. I look forward to seeing you in the next podcast. Y'all be awesome.